Okay, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, City of Pasadena, Texas, June 16th, 2020. We're going to call this meeting to order. Pastor Mike McVeigh is the pastor here? Pastor, if you'll just stand right where the little things are, it should be out there. Right there is perfect, Pastor. Thank you so much. Please stand.
Merciful God, we recognize that these are indeed trying times, unprecedented in our history. Lord, I thank you for the individuals that are here at this time who make decisions who affect the lives and the well-being of all those around them. May you be a presence of wisdom, as you were for Solomon, as you were for David, and as you were for all of your people. May you strengthen them to make decisions and make choices that will benefit this city, strengthen this community, and provide safety and health for all these things. I ask that you bless them, I ask that you strengthen them, and I thank you for them. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Really appreciate it. Thomas?
If you'd please join me in saying pledge allegiance to our great nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now to the greatest state in the Union, the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, Sir Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. We're still kind of isolated and separated from one another, but thank y'all for tuning in tonight. And I'd like to start off by saying congratulations to our most recent retirees, Sergeant Calvin Harris, John Bordelin, and Miss Townsend, Lillian Townsend. Thank you for your service to the city, and we appreciate everything that you've done, and we wish you nothing but the very best in the future. Tonight I want to talk about our Pasadena Police Department. Over the years, I've been very proud of our Pasadena Police Department and have strongly supported our Pasadena Police Department. And during these times in our nation and throughout cities throughout our country, we have witnessed some heroic acts, and we've witnessed some acts that don't represent 99.9% of police officers. Police officers serve and protect us. And here in Pasadena, we have officers that go through significant training. We are ahead of the curve in many programs that we put our officers through. Other municipalities send their officers to our academy to be trained. And just a few training courses that are mandated by TCOL is cultural diversity. We have civilian interaction training. We also have de-escalation training. And we strive in Pasadena as a people to care about one another. We are a faith-based community. Do we have our differences? Yes, we have our differences. But at the end of the day, going through situations and tragedies like Harvey, the pandemic, even future situations that we're not even aware about right now, we rely on one another. And it is the kindness, the hearts, and the willingness of our Pasadena police officers, men and women, that serve our community. And I am so thankful that the vast majority of our citizens appreciate you as well as I do. And I just want to thank you for your service and continue to support you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ibarra. Councilman Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to also say that I'm very proud of our police department. I appreciate all the men and women and the hard work they do every day in Pasadena. And another thing I'd like to mention, a lot of people probably don't remember, 40 years ago, a movie put Pasadena on the map. This is a 40-year anniversary of Urban Cowboy, and a lot of people probably forgot about it, but that made Pasadena famous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor. At the last council meeting, I could have misunderstood because the minutes, you made a statement that the city with the FEMA money is gonna, I thought you said 75, but the minutes say 25 miles of drainage.
25.
It really doesn't make any difference because the councilman started to speak on the issue, but he got shut off. So I'll speak on it, my thoughts. Now, this is Public Works. They came up with this plan for FEMA money, $100 million. We haven't had a workshop on it. I did see some, not any engineering, they had some roads in there, they're gonna do it. They're gonna lower the streets 2 feet, 2 feet. And, but my research, what I found on it, if you lower the street 2 feet, it can handle up to 6 inches of rain in 1 hour, in 1 hour. And therefore, if it rains over 6 inches in 1 hour, all the homes are gonna be flooded. And we're the only city doing this, lowering streets. And City of Houston is going to different outlets, more outlets, to get the water to the bayous, to the ship channel, to Clear Lake, to Boggy Bow, Little Vents, Big Vents, Armand Bow, and Harris County is building detention ponds. We're the only city doing this. And I think it's not a good idea. We should have had a workshop on it and get the council input, but as far as I know, the council hadn't had any input. We needed more outlets and to get the water to the bowels, not 2 feet lower, just to flood the houses. And also, it's just going to benefit the people that build roads. They don't have any drainage experience. It's the contractors that build the roads. And this is a process been discussed, not with us, but probably certain individuals. But I'm not for lowering the street. And the fire department brought up a good question. How can they, fire trucks, police trucks, cars, ambulances, in a case like that? And also the pipelines. We got pipelines all over this town. We don't even know where they are. The pipeline's not going to pay to lower on their pipelines. The whole city, it's a bad deal. And I wish we'd have a workshop where we could determine to get the best use for this money, because I feel like there's conflict in this, and therefore I won't be supporting it. But I want to come on board now to express my opinion. I think drainage needs to be handled by drainage people, not people for road construction. We got to have the most qualified people to do certain jobs. But it's already looks like it's a done deal. 95% complete on building 25 roads, and we left drainage out there. That I pass.
Sir, if you actually look at the plans, it's all new drainage and new streets. There's a big clue that you're missing. And we've had several public meetings on this. Anyways, get with the Public Works and look at the drawings. You'll see there's new drainage involved in this. It's just not lowering the streets. Okay, with that, Councilman Cathalos, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to piggyback off of Councilmember Harrison, I do think that we need to do a little bit different thing as far as if we're doing drainage, let's make the drainage bigger, leave the streets where they're at, because if we start lowering one street and not the other, or vice versa, then homes that haven't flooded in the past are gonna flood because streets are lowered. So yeah, I think there needs to be some a little bit more thought put into that, but that's neither here nor there if plans are moving forward. Also, I would like to say thank you to the Pasadena Police Department. A week and a half ago, there was a peaceful protest in my district, Deepwater neighborhood, right between Deepwater Elementary and Parkwood Elementary. It was very sobering and eye-opening. It was nice to see how a peaceful protest or a protest is supposed to be. It was a sit-in protest. Everybody sat down. We listened, and that's what needs to happen now. Is we need to start listening to what the Black Lives Matter movement is, just people of color in general. And again, it was very, very eye-opening and sobering. And I would like to thank the Pasadena Police Department for going out there and showing their support. I mean, just as Councilmember Shanebine said, that we do care about this community. We care about everyone in this community. And that was a show of support. That was something that was huge, in my opinion, that makes and puts our Pasadena Police Department above the rest. Because that's what we are, that's what we do, and that is our community as a whole. I mean, we all sat there, we listened to what was going on. Our police officers went out there, they took a knee when they were asked to take a knee to show respect and a moment of silence for the individual that was so brutally murdered that particular day, Mr. George Floyd. It was terrible. And there's not a person out there not a cop or a police officer that I know that will not say he was treated wrongly, because everybody knows he was. But they took the time to take 9 minutes kneeling just to say, you know what, we know what was done was wrong, and I appreciate that. They took a tent to keep everybody in the shade. They took water for everyone, and it was just a good evening and a good time for I guess reflection and just to listen to what's going on, because I think one of the problems that a lot of us have, and I say us in general, just people in general, is that we think we know what the problems are. We think we know what the solutions are. And if you're not listening, you can't know. And I think that it's just a big step for everyone just to stop, listen, and try to make things work. That I pass, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mayor. So about a week and a half ago, we did have a Black Lives Matter event here in Pasadena. And I know there's been a lot of attention brought to it with the death of George Floyd, or the murder of George Floyd. But it's gotten people, I guess, not just this event, but everything, right? When you say Black Lives Matter, some people take offense to that, which is shocking to me. It's one of the most uncontroversial things you can say, that someone's lives matter, and someone will rebuttal, to that. No, all lives matter. Well, of course. If I say Phil Caton's life matter, or the mayor's life matters, you don't rebuttal and say, no, all lives matter. That doesn't make sense, right? But I think as people, we have to acknowledge that there are some things going on across America. And that's what this whole movement is about. It's to bring knowledge and bring information to people. Understand that maybe it doesn't happen in your community, right? Maybe it doesn't happen here in Pasadena, but across the country we are dealing with an inequitable use of force, and people don't understand that. And I do want to bring some statistics to the matter. If you're a black man in the United States, you're 2.5 times more likely to be killed than a white man by a police officer. 1 in every 1,000 black men will die at the hands of a police officer. In the United States, we incarcerate more people by 10 times than any other country in the world. Citizens are killed by law enforcement more than any other Western country. And we have more weapons, we have more military gear, and we have the largest police force per capita. But the thing is, we're not the safest country. And so if these things were working, if the increased incarceration, if the increased police forces, the increased use of deadly weapons was the answer, then why don't we have the safest country in the world? And why is it inequitable? Why are there racial lines in the way that it's being done? And that's all this this movement is talking about. And I hear a lot of people supporting the police, who always supported the police, but I think those same people should also acknowledge that there's an issue in America. So to say back the blue without saying also Black Lives Matter is a problem. Because there is an issue. And I'll tell you, our officers are asked to do too much. You know, if there's a mental health crisis, call the police. Someone needs social work or domestic violence issue, call the police. If a drug addiction, call the police. Homelessness, call the police. Even loose animal on the weekend, they do everything. And maybe we need to rethink what it is as a society, how we use the police, and maybe provide sources, funding in other places to help alleviate those issues. And I know that the use of force it's too much. It's too much. In Austin, 2 weeks ago, a 16-year-old boy was shot in the head with a shotgun with a lead beanbag, permanently brain damaged, standing in a field. Why are we giving people shotguns with lead beanbags? And then we ask ourselves, well, why did that happen? Well, because we armed them, right? The use of force is entirely too much across America, and Black lives do matter. And if you don't understand that, and if you have to have some type of rebuttal, then you're really not listening. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Caton.
Just like to mention, this coming Sunday is going to be Father's Day, so all of you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And also continue to pray for peace between all races, and continue to pray for peace for all the people that has the COVID-19 virus. And let me just respond to what we're doing in regards to the Hazardous Mitigation Grant on the north side of Pasadena. What they're doing is the right way to go. The reason they're doing the streets, lowering the streets, is because there is no place in that area to build these big detention basins. So we're having to use the subdivisions. Now, for the philosophy about flooding, you don't make the drainage bigger trying to get into the bayous because it's head pressure. You develop head pressure from the ship channel. The bayou has head pressure trying to get into the ship channel. All the drainage from the subdivisions has head pressure trying to get into the bayou. Once those bayous rise up so high, all the drainage from the subdivision stops. Actually, some of it backs up into the subdivision and creates more problems. So the bigger you make these drainage lines, the more water you're going to have coming back. So you've got to create some place to hold the water until the bayous recede, and then release that water back into the bayous. That's the whole philosophy on that, but I'll pass.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Bass.
Pass.
Thank you, sir. Okay, brings us down to citizens wishing to speak to council. Stephen Alvarez.
So you want to flood the streets? You want to flood the streets?
Well, I want to say thank everybody who's been calling me and talking to me on my deed restriction matter. Thank you, Mr. Wagner, for giving me 1 minute. I just want to say that I'm at the point where the city does not want to budge any other way. They don't care that they're the ones that give me the deed restrictions. I mean the permits. They don't care that I'm in this predicament based on one hand not shaking the other hands. And if I can't get help, which I think I can, if everybody here joins together and talks to the judge who's going to be hearing this matter and say, hey, Mr. Alvarez hasn't got an attorney or any of those matters because he's probably facing some substantial financial battles here if he loses this case. And I try to work with the city. And they told me they only want to give me 6 months to do this, and you know that's ridiculous. I don't know what world they live in, but in my world we're going through a pandemic right now. You know, for me to bring in those kind of funds, I would have to be a Ponzi scheme artist or something like that. You know, taking advantage of people to make those kind of funds. The city is not assisting me in any matters. And when I say city, I talk about the legal department. I find it hard that they can't see the matter at hand and help me out in some form of way, other than just bullying me through to court. So on that, if I can't get the group here and everybody hear voices loud, some way to help me out, well, I don't think about just myself or my mother who's suffering from dementia. I think about everybody. And the reason why I'm in this situation is because the legal department needs to be up front. It needs to be in the front of the deal. When you go apply for a permit, if we're gonna have the legal department and turn the rein on them and let them sue the citizens of Pasadena, well, we should use them in the front end. That way it doesn't happen to taxpayers. Taxpayers are protected. When they come and get a permit, they have a permit. It means go forward with your, whatever you're trying to do. So if we can work together, if someone can tell me, hey, this is how you go about making that petition, I'm all ears, and I want to go forward with those efforts. We can't have this where we're paying everybody here with our tax dollars, but yet we fall into these nooks and crannies, and the same city that we're paying, the same legal attorneys up there we're paying, they come behind us and they want to draw all kinds of blood when you fall through the cracks. We come here for help. We don't come here for partial help, because this is what they're saying. They're saying that they helped me out, but I should have done
Mr.
further.
Hazardous, thank you so much,
This
sir.
is wrong. Thank you.
Robert G.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Robert Jeter.
Good evening, council. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our city heavy trash pickup for disposing of the bamboo and fence waste on Coldstream. It is now much easier to use the sidewalks for strolls around the neighborhood. Secondly, I was driving down Red Bluff yesterday on my way to a job and saw a downed tree blocking one lane of southbound traffic across the bridge just south of the convention center and townhomes. I appreciate Councilman Shanebine taking the call, and just 30 to 45 minutes later, our city already had a work crew on it to remove the hazard. I am very impressed with our city's response times to safety issues. Additionally, I'd like to take the opportunity to encourage council and citizens to continue to support local businesses in this economic upheaval. If any business owner would like to sit down with me and discuss how the community can best help their business, I encourage y'all to reach out. I would like to learn more about the services available in our city. Lastly, I do encourage peaceful protest. I don't encourage spreading nefarious division, busing crowds into the city to potentially riot and cause problems. So far, Pasadena has been lucky in avoiding that, due in no small part to our well-trained officers and their professionalism that doesn't need to be defunded. Let's continue to work together towards unity and providing the best possible quality of life for the citizens of Pasadena. Our citizens deserve the best possible leadership to elevate the city's image. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. I think it's Janelle Robles.
Oh gosh. I was expecting a podium and a microphone, so I'm gonna have to speak up pretty loudly, I guess. It's not usually what I do. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Janelle Robles. I'm a lifelong resident of Pasadena and a homeowner here as well. I'm here at this moment to encourage my city government elected officials to listen to and support members of the community and those concerned with the idea that Black Lives Matter. This resonates with some of us who are not Black, perhaps because we have personally experienced or witnessed racial injustice at some point in our life. I believe our city is uniquely positioned to benefit from listening to concerned community members and listening to stories on the issues of race and policing. I believe so partly because of our city's history. My family has been here for a few generations, and I grew up listening to some stories of sort of the trauma experienced by some of my relatives as they saw the KKK demonstrations, and I think because of that, they don't really like to discuss the issue of race. Anyway, but we must not ignore what we have seen, and we cannot ignore that community members are feeling some pain. A week ago, there was a protest, small, peaceful, here in Pasadena, protected by, of course, our U.S. Constitution, in support of the idea that Black Lives Matter. I believe our city officials should support gatherings where community members come to express concerns about police brutality and should listen to such concerns. This has nothing to do with disrespecting law enforcement. There are law enforcement officers who carry that title and wear that uniform with honor and duty. Unfortunately, not all of them do. So the questions that we face are, what sort of system of accountability have we created to hold those individuals accountable and to discipline appropriately? Is this discipline reasonable or is it too lenient? Is this system effective? For whom is it effective? How are we measuring effectiveness? These are conversations to be had and issues that shall be explored and addressed, and action is necessary. I believe that now is the time for truth, healing, and reconciliation, and the time to listen to community members. For those elected to serve, you have a burden and a responsibility. We have all seen the video of George Floyd. As someone recently stated, with knowledge comes the responsibility and burden to act. Today we exist mostly in the stage between knowledge and action. So I ask that you move beyond the stage between that and to move towards action. And perhaps as a solution, I would encourage the creation of a task force to
Thank you, ma'am.
perhaps
Really
provide
appreciate your time.
recommendations.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Doris, Miss Doris out there, you can send her in.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Doris Ramirez, and I emailed you the problem I have in my subdivision. I don't know whether everybody got a copy of it. Okay. First of all, I know I only have 3 minutes, and I have made a couple of requests, I think 3, to the city of Pasadena for information. And this
You
is
just
what I
leave the
get.
copies set up on, right on that chair right there, we'll pick them up later, right?
I mean, this is not readable, it's impossible.
Okay,
But if we go to court,
okay.
okay, that's one of my issues. The second is that I would like to see better communications between the developers in the city. This is the second time that this lot has been in the hot seat in my subdivision. The first person that bought it, they went in and they just hired remodelers. They didn't bring back the blueprints for approval. It was a mess. So finally, I succeeded in having the foundation removed. Then the second guy that came, he just came and gave me a whole bunch of false information, and here I am in court, okay? He sued me for $1 million because he and all the people that he brought along lied to me, and he lied to the city. He said his house was gonna cost him $220,000, where the house is 5,000 square feet. So I feel like the city should be a little bit more careful as to when people fill out their forms. I mean, he's ripping the city off, okay? This is one of the issues. I was really a little bit disappointed that I had requested an appointment with Mr. Caton. In the last maybe 4 months, I made 2 requests. I know he would have, if he had known, he would have, called me right away. but that never happened. The last time that we met, we were supposed to have a meeting between a couple of people from different departments. That never happened, and I kept calling and calling and calling, nobody would respond. So I'm really a little bit, put up a little bit with the way the city is treating me. The last thing I wanted to see is if there was any possible way that we can stop the certificate of occupancy for these residents. So I don't know, I feel like this guy owns a painting company. He works out of his house across the street from the high school. And so what is he gonna do? He's been working like that for years. What's gonna happen? He's gonna move to Columbian Village and keep the same thing, keep doing the same thing. He doesn't call us when he brings his trucks in. He damaged the entrance to the subdivision, the keyboard. This is a gated subdivision. And I mean, we just have somebody that just walks all over the city, walks over our development, and it's just not fair for the residents that, we spend, $800,000 in our homes. So I think, I just wish, that the city would be more cooperative with the developers,
Thank you,
custom
ma'am.
builders.
Thank you so much, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
ma'am.
Mayor, I'd like to ask, could you stay afterwards, after the meeting?
Yes.
I talk to you?
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.
You bet. And do
Thank
you
you
need
very
these
much.
papers, or you want these papers?
I
for-
just wanted for you to see.
Okay, you just hold those and you show
Yeah,
Councilman
if you can
Katie.
read it.
Okay.
I was here 3 times.
No, you can talk to her after the meeting.
Well, I just had a question. Yes,
He wants to meet after, if you have a question for her, you can talk to her after the
you
meeting.
didn't know what it's gonna ask.
Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
Okay, brings us down to proposal for city business. A final acceptance of Parkway Trail, Section 3, for permit maintenance of a 28-foot paved road, 8-inch water lines, 8-inch and 10-inch sewer lines, various size storm sewer lines constructed within the record right of way and easements.
Motion.
Motion Shanebine. Second Harrison. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us down to progress payments.
Motion.
Motion at Casados,
Second.
second by Lehman. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
First of all, happy Father's Day to everybody. Second thing, the head pressure is relevant to a high tide or low tide.
Sir, we're on progress payments, sir.
Well, I want to get that in anyway.
Okay, get it in now. Let's talk about progress payments.
And the third thing is, on item C, Madam Secretary, item C, on progress payments, I cannot in good faith vote for this payment of $477,000. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have
One no.
one no on
Just
the
on
payment
payment
of
number
C.
C.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Mayor, point of information
Go ahead, sir.
on presentation of minutes.
Oops, thank you so much. I would appreciate that. Brings us back to presentation of minutes, June 2nd, 2020, 10:05. Motion by Lehman. Second by Casados. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir. All right, now brings us down to finance resolutions.
Motion.
Motion by, was that Bass or Shanebine?
Here.
Okay, Shanebine, and then Caton second. Any questions?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
On ordinance 72, 73, 74.
Sir, we're on finance resolutions up here. We're not there yet.
I stand to be corrected.
No worries on that. I was corrected a minute ago. We're all good. All right, go ahead, sir.
We got a payment here for some drainage. I want to kind of clarify some things, and there's going to be some difference of opinion between council members, and I respect that. But I live on the north side, and if you go to the Harris County flood maps, and you look at the flood maps, and it's got different, they're color-coded, green, blue, you'll see that the north side has some of the best, actually, some of the best drainage in Pasadena. Now, the streets are not the best, but the flooding, but the drainage is great. So to me, and I had a community meeting this weekend, and when we talked about the drainage and lowering the streets 2 feet, there is actually, among the people on the north side, there's actually mass dissent on lowering the streets. A gentleman came here a couple of weeks ago to talk about Richard Street, and it's in Councilman Casado's district, one of the worst streets in Pasadena. But that street didn't flood during Harvey. And I went to go visit that gentleman, and he said, I don't want the street to be lowered, and that street is actually going to be scheduled to be lowered. He said, I just want the street to get fixed. So there's a difference of opinion, but most people on the north side, when you ask them about lowering the streets 2 feet, most of them are opposed to that.
Thank you,
That'll pass,
Councilman.
Mayor.
Now, I'll allow that, let's stick to the agenda. I appreciate it. Finance resolutions, what we're talking about. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings down to personnel changes A and C. Motion Ibarra. Second by Lehman. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. We have one no. Passes. All right, Madam Secretary, good luck on final readings.
Okay. Ordinance 2020-066, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pasadena, Texas, Chapter 15, Health, Article 1 in general, at Section 15.2, same subcommittees created, providing a penalty, repealing clause, saving clause, and providing for severability. Ordinance 2020-69, authorizing and approving amendment to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pasadena, Texas, at Chapter 13, Article 3, Pasadena Volunteer Fire Department, Sections 1342.
Ma'am,
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're holding up. No worries.
Ordinance 2020-70, authorizing and approving an interlocal agreement by and between the City of Pasadena and Harris County to provide the service of youth service specialists for a period of 1 year. Ordinance 2020-71, authorizing the Pasadena Parks and Recreation Department to sign and accept the terms of the Home Serve Safe Agreement for $25,000 for funding to resurface the sport court at the Vern Cox Multipurpose Recreation Center. Ordinance 2020-72, authorizing and approving the purchase of the computers for the new municipal court building from Dale Marketing LP, utilizing the Texas Department of Information Resources contract DIR TSO 3763, using the 2017 Certificate of Obligation $78,178. Ordinance 2020-73, authorizing and approving the purchase of the technology equipment for the new municipal court building for CDW government, utilizing Texas Department of Information Resources contract DRR TSO 4020 and the NIPA ESC R4 Tech and IWB Solutions contract, using 2017 certificates of obligation $56,709.73. Ordinance 2020-75, authorizing and approving an agreement by and between the City of Pasadena, Texas, and Business Flooring Partners, LLC, for the purchase and installation of replacement flooring at the animal shelter in the amount of $70,000 with a fire contingency $3,500.
Motion Ibarra. Second Bass. Any questions?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
a couple of years ago, I helped Public Works in the Controller's Office design some Excel spreadsheets to provide visibility to all of these city council members about all of the City of Pasadena's capital improvement plans, including the 2017 and 2018 certificates of obligation funds. Apparently, some of our council members have not been referencing them, so let me give everyone some figures taken from these documents. First, I'm going to state that out of the 2002 bond funds voted on by the citizens of Pasadena, 52% of the $102 million was for streets and drainage. In comparison, the 2020 capital improvement plan has got 49% of the CIP's $104 million for streets and drainage. And out of the CIP's $104 million, $56,220,000 represents the 2017, 2018 certificates of obligations, which includes 24% for streets and drainage. And 65% of the remaining COs was for the police, fire academy, and our new municipal courts building. And by the way, the CIP does not include, it's now up to $155 million on this hazardous mitigation grant program. So to analyze the 2017, 2018 certificates of obligation, you have to take a look at the entire CIP to determine where the funding sources are coming from. Harris County, Pasadena Economical Development, Community Development Block Grant Funds, Regional Detention, and certificates of obligation. So if you look at all of these funding sources, you can see that 49% is for streets and drainage. Therefore, we're able to use 65% of the certificates of obligations for the courts and municipal courts building. Unless you have been communications with the mayor and his staff, you will not know the reasoning behind all the funding that's included in our 2020 capital improvement plan. Without that pass.
Thanks, sir. Okay, all in favor? You want to say, go ahead, sir, I'm sorry, I should have said anybody else. My apologies.
The certificate obligation I explained before, or bonds passed, I understand the controller got with the administration and they decided that was the best way to go. But I felt like it wasn't, because we've always went out to the voters to sell bonds. Now, when you sell bonds, you have to identify it for a specific reason, and you can't alleviate by that reason. And all I've seen here is that we go out and build a lot of buildings, new buildings, and prior we had CIP projects under different administrations. Each councilman had equal amount of money to spend in their districts, and we had a budget on an annual basis, and we did a lot of progress in this town then. You can see it all over: water towers, sidewalks, streets, and in addition to parks, $6 million on parks, new ball fields. But what they've done now, they can identify a certain amount of money spent, but he did not identify the districts that he spent it in. And the north side is still less, and they say, I moved here in 1952, and that's all it was. They call it the historical district now, and I agree with other council members. They don't want to lower the streets 2 feet. They want new streets. It looks like the third world country over there. They need to get over there and pave the streets, and that would be the best thing. And if you check on the flood control, my son is a surveyor, and he checked on surveying. My home is not even in the 500-year floodplain. Did you check on floodplains where your home is? A lot of homes on the north side are not even in the floodplain. So therefore, it needs more research.
Thank you.
And Madam Secretary, on 72, 73, I vote no.
Now, remember, there's going to be an amendment before you vote no on this, so we're not voting on those yet. We're voting on everything else but those.
They're on the next item.
They're on the next item. So that's what I'm saying, sir. So hold on before you vote on that. We're voting on everything else.
Mayor, I want to say something.
Go ahead, sir.
So there's a discussion about CIP and certificate of obligation, stuff like that. Look, I think we as a city and as a council, as a governmental body, we have to actually look at ourselves. Nobody's saying that this administration, the last administration, didn't do roads, didn't do buildings. Every administration does sidewalks. Every administration does sewer lines and water lines and all that other stuff. But in order for us to move Pasadena forward, we've got to say we got to do more. And that's the thing that I think the debate is here is most council members are saying, look, at least the ones on the north side are saying, look, we could do more. And we seem to settle for the minimum. And to me, we got to do more. We have money in our fund balance and in different accounts, Second Century and other stuff. And all I'm asking is that we do more. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to say that when I look for numbers on where things are being spent, I go to the budget. I don't go to a spreadsheet designed by a council member. I go right to the source. That's number one. Number two, you're referencing a bond from 2002. That's not this administration's doing. That's money that's long been allocated and spent. But the point is this. We took out $76 million in bonds without going to the public for a vote. Of that $76 million, not one penny, not 1 cent was spent in District E on anything, not even a building, much less drainage and roads. And I think that's what the issue is this administration took the money, spent it where they wanted to in a few buildings here and there. and it wasn't spent fairly, it wasn't spent evenly, and it wasn't spent in the most needed areas. So that's the concern that I think some of the council members have, especially on the north side. That'll pass.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, Madam Secretary, it brings us to the first amendment,
69,
which will be
okay.
the fire department.
Ordinance 2020-69, authorizing and approving amendment to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pasadena, Texas, to Chapter 13, Article 3, Pasadena Volunteer Fire Department, Sections 1342 through 4850, 51, 53, and 56.
Motion.
Motion Shanebine, second by Ibarra.
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
motion to amend 2020-069 by striking the word "or" from section 1344, election of members, to read, members may be removed from the department by the mayor and majority vote of the membership present at the business meeting of the department.
Okay, we have amendment on the floor.
Second.
We have a second by, was that Harrison?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question on the amendment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment passes. Let's go back to the original ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Passes.
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
point of information, do we need to say, going back to the regular amendment with the attachment?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's just clarify.
Yes, it's passed,
Okay.
yes. Oh, there's no problem on that, I guarantee it. Okay, let's go to 74 and 76, correct?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ordinance 2020-74, authorizing improvement agreement by and between the City of Pasadena, Texas, and Business Flooring Partners, LLC, for the purchase and installation of replacement carpet at the Pasadena Public Central Library using the Bible Contract 56118 in the amount of $198,392.42 with 5% contingency of $9,919.62 for a total appropriation of $208,312.04.
Motion.
Motion Shanebine, second Ibarra. Any questions?
Mayor?
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so the amendments for these two ordinances are for the allocation of monies to be moved from the certificate of obligation funds to, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have it here. Anyways, coming out of a different fund, I apologize. I left them upstairs. But that's the issue with the certificate of obligations, that the money, and another issue that some of the council members have had discussions and disagreements with this administration, is because certificate of obligations are being used just at a whim. Hey, I have $70 million over here, and this is what I want to do. And they pull money from certificate of obligations without consulting counsel. I mean, we vote on it. Of course, you always see the votes are 5-4. But at the end of the day, this money should be used for your streets, your tax dollars. This money is basically a $76 million credit card that we're paying interest on. And some of these things we're paying for computers and Dell marketing, LP, utilization of resources. We're using certificate of obligation money and paying interest on those type of things. We should be using those things to rebuild our infrastructure, rebuild our streets. There's not enough of that stuff is going on in the north side of Pasadena. I'm sorry, I have people asking me all the time, Jackson Street needs new sidewalks, needs to be paved. Richard needs to be repaved. Garvey needs to be repaved. We need to finish Tilden. These are projects that are in my district that are just thrown to the wayside because I have no idea. Maybe I'm too loud. Maybe I'm not liked up here. But the problem is that they need to get done. And if we're at Pasadena as a whole, we all need to get together and work on these things. I will say, this is what happens whenever the council does work together and somebody does listen to, hey, these certificate of obligations need to be spent correctly. And that's why these amendments took place. 5 council members apparently noticed that there was something going on and had to take that to the administration because the administration didn't care. So somebody had to approach him and say, hey, this is wrong. Then a light went off and said, oh, okay, maybe you're right. So they changed it. And I thank the council members that stuck together to do that.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
your opinion. Anybody else? Okay, let's go to The amendments, Kate, are you going to read them?
I didn't read 76 yet. Do you want to do two at one time or one?
Yeah, let's do
We're
them
doing it
separate. Let's do them
That's what I
separate, yes.
thought, yeah. Yeah, separate.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2020-074 on final reading to change the funding as follows. Use $150,000 from account 11725-7905, new city hall budget, and use $58,312.04 from account 11700-7905, project development and management budget.
So, second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Now we'll go back to the original ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Madam Secretary, brings us down to the next one.
76.
Yes,
Ordinance 2020-76, authorizing and approving an agreement by between the City of Pasadena, Texas and Library Design Systems, Inc. to move the book stacks during the installation of new carpet at the Pasadena Public Central Library using Barbara Contract 50918 in the amount of $29,700 with a 5% contingency of $1,485 for a total appropriation $31,185.
Motion.
Motion Casados, second by Lehman. Any questions?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2020-076 on final reading to change the funding as follows. Use $31,185 from account 11700-7905, project development and management budget.
Second.
We have a second by Lehman. All in favor?
Mayor, discussion.
If you want to discuss them, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure glad everybody's seeing the light. We're gonna save our significant obligation funds and use other funds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Go back to the original ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Madam Secretary, brings us down to the last one.
Okay, ordinance 2020-77, authorizing and approving the master service agreement between the city and Petamis Corporation to develop a multi-channel mobile payment solution that delivers versatility and full mobile experience that offer highly effective bill pay options via text, email, mobile browser, and mobile app.
Motion.
Motion Shanebine,
Second.
second Bass. Any questions?
Mayor, I'd like
Yes, sir.
to make a motion to amend.
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
To amend ordinance 2020-077 on final reading to substitute the amendments highlighted in blue on the attached Exhibit A.
Okay, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us back to original ordinance. All in favor?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to say the citizens of Pasadena are winning on this ordinance. And for us to be able to work together as a council to get this done for our citizens to pay their water bills online is truly a step forward. So the citizens of Pasadena win in this one.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all in favor?
Mayor?
Oh, sure. Who's got it?
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is, again, I concur with Councilmember Shanebine. This is a win for the citizens, and this is another example of council working together. Again, this administration just dug their heels in. IT department was not working with us and was trying to basically not do anything. We could have solved this problem months and months ago. Unfortunately, it took this long, but again, council stuck together on this. We dug our heels in and told the administration we need something done. And this is what happened. So, council, I appreciate that. So, that I pass.
Again, thank you for your opinion. Mr. Harrison, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's great they can pay online now, but I hope the water department looks for the senior citizens that don't have an internet, looks for the senior citizens that don't have an iPhone, looks for the senior citizens that don't have a computer, because they shut down every Friday at noon. It would be helpful if they would stay up until 5 o'clock. That I'll pass.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all in favor? Sir, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me just mention that only 27% of the citizens that pay their water bills use the city's website and pay online. You know, like myself, I use my bank, pay all my bills through the bank. It doesn't cost you any interest or anything. So people should look at some ways of paying like I do. Pay everything online, go to your bank account, and just pay it right there without a pass.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Brings us down to first readings.
Yes, sir. Okay. Ordinance 2020-78, authorizing the Pasadena Parks and Recreation Department to sign and accept the terms of the USTA agreement in the amount of $4,000 for funding to be used for cleaning and sanitizing equipment for the Harry Taylor Tennis Center.
Motion.
Motion, Ibarra, second by, who is that? Shane Bine. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Resolutions, Madam Secretary?
Okay, doke. Resolution 2020-86, a resolution accepting donations from various donors in the combined amount of $3,159.24 for use by the Animal Control for the transportation of animals in the shelter. Resolution 2020-87, accepting donations from various donors in the combined amount of $2,799 for use by the Animal Control in connection with the care and treatment of animals housed at the animal shelter. Resolution 2020-88, a resolution setting a public hearing in the City Council Chamber, City Hall, 1149 Ellsworth Drive, Pasadena, Texas, 77506 at 6 p.m., July 21, 2020, for the purpose of hearing any interested citizen on the proposed budget for the Crime Control and Prevention District for the budget year beginning October 1, 2021, and ending September 30, 2021. Resolution 2020-89, authorizing the Pasadena Parks and Recreation Department to apply for a grant for the Flood Intended Use Plan Grant Program through the Texas Water Development Board for funding to assist in acquiring and protecting land along Arma Bayou in collaboration with Arma Bayou Nature Center, Harris County Flood Control District, and the Galveston Bay Foundation. And Resolution 2020-90, accepting the donation, authorizing the mayor on behalf of Emergency Management to accept the donation of 2,400 disposable face masks from Cap Barbell, Inc. for use during the COVID-19 pandemic response.
So moved. Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Lehman. Any
Mayor.
questions?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
Resolution C calls for the public hearing for the Crime Control District. I know that I've been contacted by constituents about crime. I know crime was up last year. I know crime is up this year. The chief's out of town, so I didn't get a chance to talk with him, but I'd like to see some of this money from the Crime Control District be used to reduce crime. That'll pass.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. Okay, before we leave, a longtime resident, Mr. Conrad Puckett. His wife is home. She has just a couple of hours probably to live, so my heart goes out to the Puckett family. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out. God bless. This meeting is adjourned.